Hey everyone, it's time for another live look at the astrology. My name is Katie Sweetman, and this is Empowering Astrology for February 28th through, March 6th, 2022. So, we got a lot to cover this week. It's just about March. We've got a new moon coming up, which means that we are stepping into a new lunar month, and a lunar month that has lived through very different energies than the month before, and sort of a coda to the year, and I mean the astrological year, because the astrological year doesn't end the same time that our own calendar year ends. Actually, the astrological year will end in a few weeks, right before the the equinox. I can't remember which date is, 19th, 20th, 21st. But that said, yeah, we got a lot to cover. Mars and Venus change signs. We got some pretty hefty conjunctions to Pluto between Mars and Venus before we close out the week. But yeah, there's a lot going on in the world right now. So do say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. We're all, hanging in there together. Just kind of like quick note. Last week, Mercury, sort of a bit of a dark horse, made something called a square to Uranus. And something that I said at the beginning of February, I said, look at February. February is going to be an important month this year because February is going to start to pick up on eclipse energy. And this is the thing, just as being a nerd, that I'm really interested in astrology is eclipses, because these degrees in the sky, and it doesn't matter if it already happened or if it's going to happen in a few months, they become charged. And then you'll have Mercury square Uranus last week, activating the April 30th, 2022 solar eclipse in Taurus. We've got some other things going on. Mars and Venus are going to go into Aquarius, basically at the end of this week. And this is a time when two moments in time, and again, astrology is just time and the energy of time, like two moments in time become linked. So on a personal level, look how February unfolded for you. What were the themes? What were the conversations? What were the decision points? What were the events? And then when we get into April and we get closer to that Taurus solar eclipse on April 30th, see how, if at all, I don't know, I could be wrong, there is that connection between these 2 points in time. But, security, stability, money, finance, facing sort of the darkness within, as strong as that sounds, is part of our collective work this year, because the South Node is now in Scorpio, the North Node is now in Taurus. But we got a lot going on this week. Let me, again, my name is Katie Sweetman. I'm an astrologer and psychic medium located here in the New York City area. And like I said earlier, we gather every week to look at the astrology, because something that I say is that the astrology is 50%. You are the other 50%. Like, how do you use this energy? What does it reveal inside of you? What does it move? What does it challenge? And then how can maybe something better come out of this time? So let's dive into this week, the week of February 28th through March 6th, 2022. So as I record this, February 28th, it is the end of the month. And so we're sort of looking back, we're actually closing out the lunar month that began on February 1st in Aquarius. So we are in the dark of the moon, Monday and Tuesday, as I record this. What does it mean to be in the dark of the moon? It's because we're at the end of the lunar month. The moon is at its faintest. It's at the least amount of light, and it's typically a time when it's not about taking action. It's about rest and reflection and intuition and letting go and releasing maybe some of the attachments that we had over the last 4 weeks. But this changes. This changes when we go on to Wednesday, March 2nd. By the way, March 1st is Mardi Gras, for those who celebrate. But March 2nd, Wednesday, March 2nd, we have a Pisces new moon. But something I quickly want to say before I delve into the Pisces new moon is that Mercury conjuncts Saturn. So this is sort of lost in the shuffle of this beautiful, generous, magical. I realize these are really big adjectives that I'm using. Pisces new moon. Mercury, it went into Aquarius. It sort of wrapped up its retrograde shadow. It made that square to Uranus last week. I think that was Friday, February 24th. Hopefully I'm not wrong. Now it makes the conjunction to Saturn, and Mercury, when it comes up to Saturn, especially conjunction, it's the need to make a decision. At the core of Saturn's time in Aquarius is a need to put our systems and our networks, our personal systems, our personal networks, back into balance, including friendships. Friendships have to go back in balance. Our sense of community and connection and society and humanity has to be equitable. It has to go back into balance. And so there's that larger level of like really needing to get real about something this week. And even though that conjunction may be a bit fleeting, it's still, I think, important because it's touching on a lot of this eclipse energy that we've been navigating throughout February, and we will navigate even into March and into April. Mercury is the planet of choice, so there may be something about this week, especially as we come to this new moon, where we have to make serious choices. And maybe that sounds a little, heavy, but Saturn is a planet of commitment. It wants us to look long term and to stack our choices against some sort of greater goal or ambition, or even stack our choices against something that's better for us, as opposed to maybe something that we want, but Saturn being that planet that talks about, well, it has to line up with the future. It has to be for your greater good in the long run. So, as we go into this Pisces new moon on Wednesday, March 2nd, I think there is this seed of energy that even as beautiful as Sun conjunct Jupiter and Pisces, its own sign, how do we at the same time take this energy and make it real and make it manifest and really take our choices seriously and take our words seriously and take our ideas seriously? So that conjunction might be a little bit of a connection or something to events that were happening around that square that we had between Mercury and Uranus in the end of last week. Anyway, let's talk about this Pisces new moon. Now, I don't want to oversell this Pisces new moon. It is certainly one of the nicer new or full moons of this year. There's a beauty to this new moon. Now, I gave you all my love letter to Pisces last week. I told you all about Pisces. Now, here we are, we're coming up to the Pisces new moon. So Pisces, again, is the last sign of the zodiac. We have gone through this journey through each of the 12, in this case 11 signs, starting with Aries, going sequentially through each of the zodiac signs, and we've built upon our wisdom and knowledge and our understanding of ourselves and our understanding of the world and our understanding of each other as we've gone through each of the 11 signs. And so when we get to Pisces, the sign that stands at the end of the zodiac, it's represented by the two fishes swimming in different directions. We have to really reconcile our choices and our decisions and what we've learned over the last 11 months. We have the idea that on one level, Pisces is a sign that reminds us that the matter goes back to matter, spirit goes back to spirit at the end of life. But there's this sense of we get to this point and what does it all mean? Where is it all going? Where is it all taking us? But Pisces, as its counter to its kind of sibling sign of Sagittarius, both ruled by Jupiter, Pisces is about the search for answers within. So we step into a lunar month where we are trying to find answers. Now, in Sagittarius, those answers are outside of us. We hop on a plane, we go to a different part of the world, we take a class, we go to college or university, we study philosophy, we think about matters of faith and religion. But in Pisces, the answers are within. So we're really searching our soul. There's a little bit of a deeper emotional quality to the next 4 months. And I think that when we get to Pisces, this building upon Aquarius, Pisces is about our shared humanity, our shared emotional humanity, and how something, even if it's on the other side of the world, can touch us all. And so we are thinking, that's the thing about this Pisces new moon. And typically when the energy of Neptune is activated, although this new moon is about 10 degrees away from Neptune at the moment, Neptune typically brings a story forward that can feel very emotional, can make us really look around and reconsider our shared humanity or our place in the world. So this is why, I don't want to oversell this Pisces new moon, because it does have, Mercury conjunct Saturn. It does have those Neptune energies, and Neptune does talk about a need for spiritual and emotional evolution. And sometimes we can feel confronted by something. But that said, Jupiter, it's in its own sign. We would say in astrology, it's in dignity. It has a lot of strength. And so we are going into the next 4 weeks where there is a lot of potential, hopefully great potential. Jupiter is this planet of benevolence. Certainly it can be. Every planet has a shadow side. It's opportunity. It's faith. The faith that there has to be something better. I don't know, this is just a personal opinion, my own experience with Jupiter in Pisces over the last however many months. It's really brought some very interesting things in that almost can feel very magical, like, benevolent, like maybe this is all going to work out after all. So that's my hope. That's my hope for you all. And when we go through the 12 signs, you'll see where this energy of Pisces is really opening up an opportunity for you. And it's really trying to get you to vision and to dream and to think about the subtleties of life and spirituality and art and music, but also generosity and how you can be generous to others and how you can actually bring in generosity into your life. Not to sound like abundance and law of attraction, but there is that energy in Pisces. Kind of on the other side of all this is when we get to the end of this week, on I think it's the 4th, or is it the 3rd? It's the 3rd of March, we have both Venus in Capricorn and Mars in Capricorn meet up with Pluto in Capricorn. It's a very different energy compared to this sort of, like I said, big-hearted, generous Pisces new moon. I mean, when I think of Mars and Venus and Pluto together, I think of like power and negotiation and control and sort of this sometimes volcanic energy to remake something from one state to another. There's certainly a lot of alchemy in that lineup of planets. But a couple of things I want to point out. Number one, Venus, maybe you forgot this. I certainly forgot this. Venus has been in Capricorn since, I think it's November 5th, 2021. So that's 4 months. And typically Venus will spend about 3-4 weeks in a sign. So as you can imagine, that's a bit of a long time. But Venus was retrograde from December until January. I think it was like the 19th or 18th of December all the way, I think 19th until the end of January. So Venus in Capricorn, especially in and around Pluto, it turned retrograde in a conjunction to Pluto. We've had to really reassess relationships. We've had to reassess toxic relationships and power and things around power and control and intimacy and vulnerability and sometimes even the shadow side of relationships. And I think there's been this question at the heart of Venus's time in Capricorn. It's like, is it worth it? Am I worth it? Is my time worth it? Is this person worth it? Is this relationship worth it? And I think that now that Venus has come to the end of its shadow, so the degree that it turned retrograde on, it's making this final conjunction to Pluto, there's a sense that something has to transform that may have been very different than it was back in November and December of last year. Venus and Pluto, it can be magnetic and sultry and powerful, but it can also be obsessive and self-destructive. So it's one of those things with Pluto, we really have to do our due diligence because there is a shadow side to Pluto, of course. But Pluto does hold a mirror to us. Pluto is certainly holding a mirror to Venus this week. It's even holding a mirror to Mars. So Venus and Mars have been sort of together in the sky. I forget when they started to make their conjunction. Maybe it was like last week or the week before. But Mars by itself in Capricorn takes the energy of Aries, the drive, the passion, the motivation. It gives it focus. It gives it a sense of structure and plans and ambition and working towards the future. You throw Pluto in there, and Mars and Capricorn, Mars conjunct Pluto, it's like this inexhaustible source of energy. It keeps going. It keeps going after its goals and ambitions. It's forging plans. It's powerful. It's working relentlessly to get to the top of something. So Venus is the planet of negotiation, peace, relationships, accommodation. So there's that side of it. But then Mars, the planet of power and aggression, but also the drive and the force actually to make things happen. So you have this sort of duality to both planets. So to come up to Pluto, there's just something that's really trying to shift and move. There's this personal alchemy about relationships, personal alchemy about power, maybe some stuff happening in the world at large. But the thing that I have my eye on is really seeing how the Aries moon that we're going to have later this week, I think it's the end of Thursday the 3rd, at least New York time, and Friday and even Saturday, the moon is in Aries and it's really picking up on this energy. So here's what I'm thinking. It's like we have this really beautiful Pisces new moon. I think it can give us hope. It can replenish us. It can give us a sense of redemption. And redemption's a big word, that maybe this is all going to work out, and maybe even gives us a vision for something. But then you can take this energy of Mars and Venus and Pluto and even Mercury conjunct Saturn, and how do we make it real? How does the vision turn into something physical? And whenever I think of Mars and Pluto together, two things. Number one, you actually, fun fact, see Mars and Pluto together in the charts of people who are professional athletes. Like they have all this power and drive and the competition. And of course, there's, positive, healthy ways to do that, and not so positive ways and healthy, ways to do that. But, I think that we have to be a realist with this Pisces new moon. I think plant seeds, really sit down tomorrow and even on the 3rd and think about, Mars conjunct Saturn, the type of serious, structures and the things that you're trying to bring into reality and the things that you're trying to transform and reform. And then you've got this energy later this week to make it happen. But it's just, as we get to the end of this week, that Mars and Pluto and Aries moon, that can be a little bit hot-headed, just a little, not a warning, but just, just, hey, don't get too hot-headed. Because Pluto has a tendency to, pull things out from our unconscious. The things that we haven't acknowledged are there, the things that we don't even realize that are there, our blind spots. And it's like, oh, well, you want healthy partnership? Well, I'm going to show you exactly what's in the way of healthy partnership. But that said, that can be a positive opportunity for us to make some lasting changes. As we go into this weekend, March 5th, we do have what's called the annual conjunction of the Sun and Jupiter. And this year, every year it's in a different sign. This year it's in Pisces. So Jupiter, it's in its own sign. There's a sense of the benevolence, the faith, the magic of Jupiter and Pisces. But again, the answers have to come from within. We all have to sort of do that sort of searching the soul, that sort of existential search at this time. And I think there's a sense of replenishing ourselves with something deep, something spiritual, and something esoteric with Jupiter and Pisces. But Jupiter, or Sun conjunct Jupiter, it's the start of a new cycle. It's the start of the new cycle that really pushes us out in the world to seek and explore and to find new adventure and to find new wisdom and knowledge. But like I said, the where we are going over the next 11 months, it's not outward, it's inward. So then we have, on the 6th of March, we have Venus and Mars leaving Capricorn and going into Aquarius. So I'm going to leave that for next week because we certainly have a lot to talk about when we go through the 12 signs, and what this Pisces new moon is going to mean for you, what Jupiter in Pisces is going to mean for you, and how we can really work with this energy. But like I said, lots going on this week, especially as we wrap up the astrological year. So let's go through the 12 signs. Just a little housekeeping note. Of course, you can listen for your sun sign. You can listen for your rising sign. And sometimes people get really great information listening to their moon sign, listening to the sign of their chart ruler. That's a little bit technical. But I always get this question, which one is right? They are both right because you are existing in these sort of parallel experiences. To listen for your sun sign is to see the perspective of life from the perspective of the self, the sun. To look at your rising sign is to look at your life from the perspective of something a little bit more complex. It's one of these things I haven't quite figured out how to articulate. Whenever I look at the chart from the perspective of the exact moment of birth, I'm given a sense of altitude, for lack of a better word, that I don't have when I'm just looking at a sun sign chart. But you do get good information from both, and I think you have to sort of see where they overlap, synthesize, and see what the story is going forward. I see some really familiar faces on the chat. Hello, it's so nice to connect with you week in and week out, and also just to kind of say that there's some of you that are listening or even watching on Spotify or on Instagram or on YouTube to say hello as well. So let's go around the 12 signs, starting with, of course, Aries. Aries, so Pisces is your last sign, and you have what's called a natural chart, so everything that's about Pisces in a way is doubly so for you. So the sun coming to Pisces, as it did on the 18th, you are entering a 4-week period, which is about letting go, coming to the end of a long journey, needing to rest, recuperate, relax, to search within for answers. So to have now a new moon, it sort of strikes this moment of a new chapter in this part of your astrological chart. So to have a Pisces new moon, and this is first a little bit of a traditional interpretation, do not push it over the next 4 weeks. You're in a time that's meant to be about relaxation, meant to be about, lower energy. You do have, ironically, you do have Mars, your planet in Capricorn. It's stuck around Pluto, but you might feel like you have a lot of energy right now that needs an outlet, but that's going to start to change once Mars gets into Aquarius at the end of this week. That said, I'm getting ahead of myself. So what do you do with a Pisces new moon, especially Jupiter? And I think, this is a little bit of a farther reaching point. This time next year, approximately, Saturn will go into Pisces. And so when that happens, Aries, you're going to have about a 2.5-year period of really doing the deep inner work and really letting go, wrapping up, and in a way, sorting through the boxes of the past. So what does that mean? It means that in the next year or so, you're coming to the end of a 30-year cycle. So why am I talking about next year? Well, this Pisces new moon thematically touches on the stuff that you're going to revisit more in earnest come 2023. Your spirituality, your faith, your inner hope, your dreams, and how you take care of yourself on a spiritual level, even spiritual service. So if you have no spiritual life right now, and spirituality isn't religion, spirituality is the need to find answers and to find them within, to meditate, reflect, to seek out something that is a direct connection to the divine, as opposed to using religion or some other structure as an intermediary. So this is a time to take care of your soul, however you want to define that, your spirit, your interiority, and to replenish yourself and to really connect to the subtleties of life, to let go, to surrender, to get quiet. So this is a time for retreat, maybe even going on a retreat, but really starting to connect to these deeper spiritual themes that you're going to connect to more seriously this time next year going forward. Taurus. So Pisces is your 11th sign, and so a Pisces new moon gives you this opportunity to create something new in your social circle, your community, to join a group, to make connections with like-minded individuals. Jupiter has been, hopefully for you Taurus, a boon in your social life. You know, maybe it's brought new friends in, maybe it's given you a sense of social connection and community. Certainly we're living in a time where we really need that sense of social connection and community. And maybe that's been a bit of a salve for you, Taurus, because you've been going through so much with the astrology of 2021, the astrology of 2022. And you really need allies. You really need the sense of hope and support. And so maybe this new moon is really giving you an opportunity to connect to new people, or to renew and to replenish your existing social connections. But this is also a time, Taurus, for you to turn your vision towards the future, to hope and to dream. Now, Saturn is in your 10th sign right now, and so a lot of the bigger focus of 2022 for you, Taurus, is about your professional life, needing to get serious in your professional life, and maybe even answer some simple questions like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Now, as you are using this time to answer that question, especially as you go into 2023, use this new moon to network, to connect to your career allies, the people in your community. Use this new moon to actually look ahead and say, okay, if I achieve this now, what's next? What's the next goal? What's the next ambition? So this can be a very visionary time for you, Taurus. I will add, because Venus is your planet, and Venus is going to be in a little bit of a tight spot with Mars and Pluto this week, and then next week Mars and Saturn. So it's like life is going to start to get a little bit serious for you. And I think with Venus right now in your 9th sign, this is a time for you to really figure out, what do you believe in? What do you stand for? What's your truth? What's your conviction? And this has been a long 4-month period with Venus just in Capricorn, Taurus, about you really figuring out what you stand for, what you believe in, and how you see the world, and what is your faith. So passing through Pluto later this week means something is transformed. You are transformed. But when Venus goes into Aquarius later this week on the 6th, and we'll talk about this next week, it's going to be hustle time for you, Taurus, and really working more earnestly towards some of these bigger themes we've been talking about: career, your professional life, the direction that everything's going in, and the responsibilities and duties that you carry. Gemini. Pisces is your 10th sign. We don't always think about Pisces being the career sign of Gemini, but yes, it is. And so this is just your friendly reminder, Gemini, is that I don't care whatever you do in the world, Gemini. I don't care if you make $1 million or if you're the most powerful person in the world, but with Gemini or with Pisces as a part of your career story, your heart has to be in it. It has to feed your soul. You have to feel like it's giving back to the world in some way. And so with Jupiter in this, let me take Jupiter out for a moment. A Pisces new moon is your annual time to have that sense of renewal and new beginnings in your professional life. So maybe you are thinking about getting a new job, a new position, making a change in your professional life, going after a dream or a goal. It certainly is a time for you to take on new responsibilities and duties, 10th house, 10th sign, but you throw some Jupiter in there. So Jupiter is a big planet in your astrology. It's a relationship planet. It's a career planet. So for the first half of 2022, Gemini, your professional life has a lot of strength. Use this while you can, because Jupiter moves very quickly through Pisces. It's going to leave by May 13th. It'll be back, I think it's in October, and then out again in the end of December of this year, 2022. So you really want to strike while the iron is hot in a way. So really seek out the new opportunities in your professional life with this new moon. Go after something that you never thought you would even get. That's sort of the confidence that Jupiter is giving you right now, but it can mean like big opportunities. It can mean, the support and the recognition that you didn't even know was there. And Jupiter certainly makes things easier. So maybe this is a time where you don't have to push as hard, but like I said, use this wisely. And I made this point, I think, for Aries, but Saturn this time next year, 2023, Saturn will go into your career sign. So use this new moon to plant the seeds that will want to come to fruition and reality next year when Saturn goes into Pisces. Oh, and Mercury, by the way, because Mercury is your planet, it's in Aquarius. This has been a time for you to really figure out what you stand for, what your truth is, what you believe in, what's right and wrong for you. But Mercury conjunct Saturn means that it's a week where you have to take things seriously, like don't cut corners. Saturn is always about setting the bar higher and us working to step up to that bar. So just know that the bar is higher for you this week. Make the right decisions. Really weigh your options, know what is the right thing for you, and maybe that might be something very different from somebody else, but you're sort of doing some Saturn work this week. Cancer. Pisces is your 9th sign. So this beautiful Pisces new moon is happening in a space that talks about travel, exploration, adventure, this need to seek out wisdom and knowledge in the world. So maybe this new moon is inspiring you to get on a plane, to plan a trip, plan a far away trip, if you can do that. Maybe this new moon is inspiring you to really read and to go take classes and to go to school and to prioritize your education over the next 4 weeks. But there's a little bit more of an existential element to this new moon. You're not just looking for answers, because Jupiter speaks about the mystic, how do you feel that mystical energy? How do you connect to that mystical energy? And maybe you want to go someplace, you want to go on retreat someplace or go to some location that you feel has good energy, for example, where you can really feed yourself on something or nourish yourself on something deeper. But this is this is a new moon for you, Cancer, for you to have some hope. And I talked about this at length in previous videos, but Cancer, you're kind of halfway, and maybe even less than halfway, or more than halfway of Saturn through what's called your 8th. It's been a bit of a heavy time, Cancer. And maybe after everything that you've been through in the last, year and a half, 2 years, you need that sort of sense of hope again. And maybe that renewed faith, because certainly I think some of the astrology that you've been going through, Cancer, lately, maybe it's made you question your faith, but maybe this is going to give you the nourishment and the replenishment that you need. And maybe honestly, if it's a travel or a trip for you, you can just go on a beach someplace or go someplace where it's quiet and get back to yourself, Cancer. Leo. So Pisces is your 8th sign, and I think I talked about this last week, but the 8th sign is something that I affectionately call the 8th room, meaning astrology is something that we inhabit, and step by step by step as we make our way through the astrological year, or even somebody's astrological calendar, because every sign has its own calendar, it comes a point when we get to the 8th. And the 8th is this necessary point where we are tested, where we have to face ourselves, where deeper emotions and feelings and vulnerabilities come up. It doesn't sound fun, but it's essential to life, because a life that is unexamined and a life that is untested does not grow. So this is a time for you, Leo, for you to grow, for you to look within, to see what really is, rattling your cage, so to speak. Now, Leo, this is a time that's really about relationships. Now, this doesn't necessarily just have to be romantic relationships, but since the end of 2020, this has been a time about taking relationships seriously, whether it's existing relationships or even new relationships, new serious relationships coming into your life. Now, with new people in your life means that maybe you're looking at yourself in a different way. You're having to open up and be vulnerable, sort of that deeper emotions and sexuality and connection, intimate connection. But this is also a time about power and money and finance, and maybe you are looking at your financial life and needing to make some changes. And this, I will say Jupiter in this part of the chart can maybe be a couple of things. It's the faith to go more deeply inside of you. I think that when we go to the 8th on some level, we have to traverse our underworld. We have to traverse our unconscious and the things that we don't want to look at. But Jupiter says it's all going to work out. We're going to make it through. And maybe you have that, the protection and the benevolence, and maybe you even have the guidance of somebody in your life that can lead you through this time, however brief. It's just 4 weeks. And this is your time every year to go within, Leo. But also Jupiter in the 8th can bring unexpected windfalls, money from outside sources, client income, benefits, resources, partner's money. So maybe this Pisces new moon is really bringing in that resource in unexpected and generous ways. And I will say, Jupiter in the 8th can make you want to spend money, so don't spend too much money. But my hope for you is that it brings you everything that you need in this time right now, Leo. Virgo. So Pisces is your relationship sign. And so English hard. So this is a time in your personal zodiac calendar where the sun is in your relationship sign. It's about other people. It's about connecting with other people. Now, this isn't just romantic partnership. This is all relationships, because the sign that's opposite yours on some level is a point of socialization. It's how you learn to connect and interact and socialize with people. So here comes this Pisces new moon. Now, this is your 4-week period. This is your lunar month to meet new people, to bring new people in, to socialize, and maybe especially if you've been a little bit isolated, Virgo. This is a time, if this is relevant to you, of course, if you're single, maybe this is use this energy to bring a new person into your life. Jupiter, it is very fleeting in this part of your chart, is opening up doors. But that's the thing about Jupiter, is like it can open up a door, we still have to take action. That's why I say the astrology is 50%, you're the other 50%. Like, things don't magically show up on our doorstep most times. I don't know, maybe Jupiter is working, maybe something will show up on your doorstep. But that said, if this is a time where you want to renew relationship, renew connection in your life, really use this energy to its best effect. I will say this is kind of a point I made for a couple of other signs, but I'm thinking to make it for you too as well, Leo. Virgo. Saturn this time next year is going to get into your relationship sign. So this is going to be, 2.5 or so years of really working on relationships, building stronger connection, getting into serious partnership, or retooling existing relationships. Because when Saturn gets here, it's going to be a little more of a serious reminder that life needs relationship. It needs other people. We can't do things alone. And it also means that our lives need to go back into balance. But that said, use this Pisces new moon to really plant some relationship seeds, to bring in new people into your life so that things can be more structured and concrete next year when Saturn arrives. Oh, I will also add Mercury. It's making that conjunction to Saturn this week for you, and you are ruled by Mercury. So just make sure you're eating your vegetables, taking care of your body. Saturn is really trying to get you very focused, very organized, very healthy in 2022. And I always say, if you know Saturn's coming around, just do your due diligence and make sure everything is neat and tidy. Libra, Pisces is your 6th sign. So this is your time in your personal calendar to really focus on your human life. What does that mean? It means taking care of your body, making doctor's appointments, going for a walk, focusing on fitness, nutrition. I will say this Pisces. Pisces is more, favoring yoga and dance and Pilates or swimming, something a little bit more gentle than it is about something hard during this time. But this is a time to really renew your physical health, renew your surroundings, and to have a very different relationship with your day-to-day life, to create ritual. I think there's a sense of Jupiter being a planet of faith and even religion, because it's the ruler of Sagittarius. But how do you create ritual in your day-to-day life? How do you bring the sacred into something so simple as washing the dishes or getting ready in the morning? Where is meditation in your life? How are you slowing down? But Jupiter is sort of giving you that sense of renewal, and maybe you are making very positive, healthy changes while Jupiter is quickly moving through your sixth sign. And I kind of made this point with some other signs, but Saturn will get to this sign in March of 2023. So whatever healthy initiatives that you can start right now, whatever organization you can bring to your daily life, whatever new relationship with your physical life you can instigate under this new moon, maybe that's the lead for Saturn coming in a year from now, and then wanting to make these things permanent and concrete. But Libra, I will also add that Venus is your planet. Venus has spent a very long time in Capricorn. Capricorn is your fourth sign. This has been a 4-month period that's been a bit emotional. It's been about home and family in the past, and really taking a second look at the past, especially relationship with family, parents, stuff that you've been still holding on to and maybe needs to let go. But Venus getting into Aquarius at the end of this week will be a breath of fresh air. That said, you have this last rendezvous with Pluto, and this, in a way touches on something that's been unfolding since 2008. Yes, 2008, that's 14 years ago. You're 14 years into a Pluto transit, Libra, where your whole home environment has needed to profoundly remake itself over the past decade. So in a way, Venus's time over the last 4 months is really bringing you to a deeper story that's been present over the last 14 years. And this is Pluto's last full year in Capricorn. So you're sort of coming to the end of something, Libra. And maybe Venus coming to Pluto this week is a need to really come to some deeper realizations about the work that has been happening in this part of your life: home, family, roots, foundation, past, memories, parents, over the last 14 years. Scorpio. So Scorpio, a couple of things. One, Pisces new moon is in your fifth. This is a time for you to come back to yourself in a way, to have fun, to prioritize creativity, to renew the things that are really going to create passion and pleasure in your life. Certainly Scorpio, you've been one of the signs going through it a bit last year, and to have this sort of beautiful Jupiterian energy in your fifth says that, hey, maybe life can be good. Maybe it can be supportive. Maybe I can have fun in the midst of all this really profound personal change. That said, Mars is your planet. Mars is over in Capricorn. So Capricorn for you is the third sign. So you're wrapping up about 5 weeks. Mars has been in Capricorn for about 5 weeks of really doing this work on your voice and how you speak and listen and learn, and the transformation that's needed to happen in the last 5 weeks. And on some level, really taking the power of your voice this week, especially with that conjunction to Pluto on March 3rd. Mars will, at the end of this week, go into Aquarius. Aquarius is your fourth sign, and Mars is going to really dig into a larger story that's been unfolding since the end of 2020. Where is home? Who is home? Nevertheless, this is a time for you to make powerful choices this week to take your voice seriously, take the power of your voice seriously. But that, of course, can all lend itself to the creativity, the self-expression, the sense of identity that you have with this Pisces new moon. For those for whom this is relevant, certainly the 5th and Pisces and Jupiter there, it can be romance and sort of the romance of life, but it can also be children and creating a family. And so if this is relevant to you, I also put that out there as well. Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, number 1, Pisces is your 4th sign. So this is your time in your personal calendar to really focus on your home environment, to put down roots, to tend to your roots, to really feel like you are being supported by life. Maybe you have moved over the last however many months. Certainly Jupiter can bring in new opportunities in the home environment if you haven't moved. Maybe Jupiter, this new moon in Pisces, is helping you to create the home environment that actually you love, that you actually want to spend time in. So on a little more traditional level, the fact that you're having a new moon in your 4th is over the next 4 weeks, you can see a change in the household. Somebody moves in, somebody moves out. You can move. You can make changes in your home environment, including making your home environment more beautiful. But this is a time, especially over the next months, because this is the start of a cycle and Jupiter is your planet, to really nest, to really tend to your emotional needs and tend to probably one of the most fundamental parts of your astrology, which is your 4th sign. Jupiter will speed out of Pisces. It will dip into Aries May 13th. That's another story for another time, but I've been making this point with some of the other signs, but Saturn's going to get into Pisces this time next year, March 2023. So really a lot of the benevolence, the new beginnings, and the opportunities that are being seeded under this new moon are in a way going to become concretized and become formed when Saturn gets there a year from now. But really enjoy that feeling of having family, having home. And if you don't feel like you have family or home, how can this new moon really open you up to something new? Capricorn. So a lot of things going on in Capricorn right now. But first, the Pisces new moon. Pisces is your 3rd sign. And we always forget how intuitive Capricorn can be, with Pisces being the 3rd sign of voice and communication. And so this is a time, Capricorn, for you to really focus on, how you use your words, how you speak, how you listen, how you learn. Maybe you're taking classes. Maybe you're teaching that class. Maybe you're doing some public speaking over the next 4 weeks. But this is also a time, especially as you get into the Virgo full moon 2 weeks from now, where it is about travel. Travel means different things to different people, but maybe you are looking out into the world, making a plan or a trip, if that's something that you can do. But this is certainly pulling you out into the world, trips, movements around the neighborhood. Then let's talk about Venus and Mars in your sign. So Venus is coming to the end of its time in Capricorn this week, Mars as well. But this is a powerhouse conjunction between Venus and Mars to Pluto. So Venus is a career planet for you. Mars is about home. It's about your stability and security and your roots. So there's something that's really coming up on a deep level. Pluto has a tendency to pull things out from the deep. Be really present with what's coming up this week, Capricorn, especially any memories, anything from the past, any hidden emotions, anything that makes you feel insecure, because this conjunction in a way is giving you a new, kind of a stepping stone into something new. Because it is about your direction in life. It is about your home environment. It is about being in this life and in this world in a very different way. But this is some intense energy, especially as you get into later this week. So just do what you need to do, Capricorn, to stay cool and grounded and collected. But if deep emotions are coming up, know that this is trying to get you to see something that you normally can't see. Aquarius, this new moon is in what's called your second sign. So this is your time in your personal zodiac calendar to focus on your material life. And it seems a little ironic because Pisces is so immaterial as an archetype to have this as a money sign for you. But it just says that Pisces, when it's connected to an earth area of the chart, this, I kind of said this, I forget for what other sign, but it's like, I don't, I said this for Gemini. It's like, I don't care if you make $1 million. I don't care if you're the most powerful person in the world. But first it has to feed your soul. So, with this new moon and Neptune, it's kind of Neptune's in the mix too. It's a reminder that your material life doesn't mean you have to forego having material life, but it has to be in the right way. It has to be something that's truly aligned with your heart and your soul. That said, this is a new moon for maybe some sort of windfall or some sort of sources and resources from places outside of yourself. There is, and I say that because Jupiter is the archetype of the divine on some level. It is, Zeus. It is Jupiter, the king god, so to speak, in the Greek and Roman pantheon. But as it says that, and I remember when Jupiter went through my second, I'm not trying to overpromise this, but yeah, like it just felt like money or opportunities or just that material support was coming in ways that seemed almost magical. So that's my hope for you, Aquarius. But this is a new moon for you to really focus on value and worth, and certainly your own value and worth, and earning a living and making sure all your material needs are met. And maybe with Jupiter's support, you really feel that sense of abundance in your life right now. I will say this has been a bit of a heavy year for you, Aquarius, and with Venus and Mars, they are, in your 12th right now. So some of that little heavier energy is showing up a little bit in your blind spots, or maybe it's coming up in a dream or in your intuition. But, things are going to start to shift and move in a different way once Venus and Mars gets into Aquarius later this week, on March 6th. Something we'll talk about all next week. Pisces. So Pisces, if you missed my love letter to your sign last week, go back and listen to it, because it's like, I think we all really need to give Pisces its due. It is the last sign of the zodiac. We always think that it's so immaterial, but it's actually this very beautiful sign that acts as a bridge between this world and the next world. So that said, Pisces, your archetype, this last sign of the zodiac, you are here to bring in compassion and faith and truth and deeper meaning and empathy, and to bring it in the real world and to be an embodiment of this energy. It's not always easy, of course, we're human beings, but that's part of the archetype of Pisces. So you have Jupiter in your sign for, off and on this year, but definitely for the first half of this year. It's a start of a new cycle for you, Pisces. It's about new beginnings and maybe even feeling like things are all going to work out somehow. So I think that this new moon really talks about this new start, this new chapter in your life. And this is a journey that you are beginning that's going to take you over the next 11, 12 months until the next conjunction of the Sun and Jupiter in Aries next year. So that's what, 12 months from now. Think of yourself as at the beginning of a long journey. This is a long journey that's going to take you over the next 12 months. And like any journey, you need to prepare. You need to have a sense of hope and faith that it's all going to bring you back to where you need to go to. You need to have a sense of destination, of course. But this is a new time for a renewed sense of new beginnings and a new cycle for you, Pisces. And it's a point that I've been making periodically with the other signs as we've gone through the previous 11 signs, is that here's the thing. Now, right now, Saturn is in your 12th. And even though here I am talking about new beginnings and moving forward, there's still a part of you that's connected to the past. You're still wrapping up a 30-year cycle. 30-year cycle. Last time Saturn was in this part of the sky was 1992, 1993. So yeah, that's a long time ago. So you're really having to go through the boxes of the past. You're really having to sort and to really think about what do you want to bring with you into this next cycle. Now, on one hand, this new moon in a way is a scout. Like it's presaging Saturn's arrival in Pisces in March of 2023. When Saturn gets into your sign next year, that's the real new beginning. So this is in a way sort of in advance gathering and planting the seeds and getting things ready for a much bigger story that's going to start next year. But I think it's a beautiful new moon for you, Pisces. And if it's your birthday, plus or on the new moon, March 2nd, plus or minus a couple of days, it's going to be a really powerful new year for you, and one that's really trying to help you believe in life again, and maybe even believe in anything again. But I think that there's such a deep, it's like a little bit more of an esoteric point. It's like when we go through life, and life certainly wears us down, and it makes us tired, makes us tired in the soul. We need that energy, we need that water, that renewal to give us the strength in order to keep going. And so maybe this is that new moon that you need in order to keep going. But it's a very beautiful new moon. Happy birthday, Pisces. But yeah, there's we got lots to talk about next week as well. So that is your look at this Pisces new moon in the 12 zodiac signs. Again, next week we'll talk all about Venus and Mars going into Aquarius. I'm sure there's probably other things that are going on that I haven't even realized because I haven't sat down with the astrology. But again, my name is Katie Sweetman. This has been your look at the astrology of February 28th through March 6th, 2022. Of course, you can book a consultation with me. Many of you on the chat have been my clients. We worked one-on-one. Coming up probably not so distant future, we do more classes and webinars. Also, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Spotify too. And I look forward to connecting with you all next week. We've got lots to talk about, but until then, take care. Bye.